Today I have mostly been picking Hawberries, otherwise known as Hawthorn. Well, it's raining pretty hard now, so I'll try and keep this short. Hawthorn. There's an old myth in the 13th century. There was a poet called Thomas the Rhymer, and he met with the fairy queen in front of a hawthorn bush from which a cuckoo was calling. The fairy queen took him by the hand and led him into the underworld, the fairy underworld, for half an hour or so, just so he could have a good look at it. When he re-emerged, he'd lost 7 years of his life. If you ask me, he's probably tried some dodgy mushrooms. But hey, I think in Ireland, where tradition seems to run deeper than for anyone else, the hawthorn's protected by the little people, because the fairy queen herself stands guard over these bushes. You must always ask permission before you pick her fruit. A lot of farmers that cut down all their trees quite often leave the hawthorn standing because it's supposedly bad luck to cut down the fairy queen's tree even, which is why you see them standing alone in the middle of fields sometimes. But the hawthorn has got lots and lots of great uses. It's got lots of vitamins and minerals, and we're going to make a tasty, hopefully, Hawberry ketchup today. These are lovely and ripe. Look at the colours. The leaves look like that. Yay, they're waving. The leaves look like that. You got your two out to the side, three up top, one in the middle. Then it's hawthorn. These are like little overripe apples at this point. You can squeeze them. A kind of mushy, it's like overripe apple with a seed in the middle. Throw the seed away and eat the rest. Just put it in your mouth and chew. And spit out the seed. Yeah. So for this I need about a kilo of hawberries, so I better get started. So yeah, it's quiet in here because it's been very wet this afternoon, but now the sun's out. It's beautiful. I'm going to head back home and sort these little babies out. I did thank the tree. I thanked Her Majesty the Elf Queen, or who I'm supposed to thank, for letting me take the fruits without cursing me. So, hopefully, our Hawberry ketchup will taste like nectar if she blesses me for being polite to the tree. I'm going to pass most of these through, I'm going to pass them all through a sieve, so it doesn't really matter about a few bits of stalks. None of that's going in the final product. Oh dear, I've dropped a few. Oh. Anyway, into that, I've got 600 mils of vinegar. Now you can use white wine vinegar, red wine vinegar, cider vinegar, whatever you like. I've got a mixture. I've got some bramble vinegar I made last year. I'm using that up with some cider vinegar and some white wine vinegar. 600 mils goes in there. Right. Also, you need 600 mils of water. Okay. Now we just want to put those onto a high heat. Pick up any of the strays that I dropped. I'm going to bring them up to the boil. Right, so we're half an hour into the process of boiling these hawberries down. As you can see, they are starting to split. And you can see they have reduced a bit, but they're still, I don't think they're quite there yet. The colour's changed completely. The red's gone out of these berries, but it's seeping into the liquid, which is kind of what we want. Anyway, I just want to reduce them a little bit more. I know you're only supposed to simmer them for half an hour, but I'm going to give them another 10 minutes. They're on a high heat because I am reducing this liquid. I must say the smell in this kitchen is pretty pungent right now. That's what boiling vinegar does to you. Okay, so they are thickening up a little bit. Not that I'm in a hurry or anything, but I want to kind of help them release their flavour, so I'm going to put a masher through it just while they're still bubbling and break up those hawberries a little bit to release a bit of flavour into the juice. And yes, I am going to mash them through a sieve, but for now I just think this might help them on their way a little bit. And they're all pretty soft, right? So yeah, I've given them a little mash, and I'm going to give them another 10 minutes before I pass it through a sieve to get rid of all those seeds. Remember, there's big seeds in the middle of those. There's a few stalks in there, and the skins. You don't want all that. All you want is the flavour and a little bit of the flesh that comes out of those hawberries. So 10 minutes and we're back. Okay, I think I was right to do that, because here they have actually gone pretty thick. The problem is there's not as much liquid now, but hey, it doesn't matter. That might affect how much sugar we add to this. So I'm going to pass this through a sieve and into a clean bowl. Just pour it into a sieve, and then use a wooden spoon or a spatula or whatever you like to use. I'm going to push as much of that juice through this sieve and into the bowl below. It's going to take out all the rubbish, and if we added spices in there it would take those out as well, but hey, we'll see what happens. I'm hoping I've got enough liquid to fill a bottle. Now I'm going to add sugar to this. I suppose depending on how much liquid you've got and how sweet you like your ketchup, depends on how much sugar you put through. So to make a decent sized bottle, as you know, tomato ketchup does actually contain a hell of a lot of sugar. I'm going to put 250 grams through this, and I hope it's not too much. In fact, I'll tell you what, I'm going to add maybe 150 to 200 grams, and then I'll taste it, and if it's too sweet, if it's not sweet enough, I'll add some more. If it's too sweet, it's too late. So you want to drive as much of this moisture and the pulp as well, because it's the pulp going through the sieve that's going to actually thicken or help to thicken the sauce, which means every so often you want to take a knife and scrape the bottom of the sieve into there, because this is all good. There's nothing in there that you don't want. In fact, you want more of that and less of this. When you start just having a big dry lump in your sieve, it's time to stop, because you're not going to get much else out of that, are you? See, there's not as much coming through now, but make sure you add that to it, because there's nothing in that. If you can't get through the sieve, then it's not welcome in the ketchup. I think I'm done here. Right, this is what you're left with. You've got quite a bit of juice. It's quite thick actually. I'm going to put that back into a clean pan. I'm going to add my sugar. Right, back into a clean pan. That's a nice red colour. Considering the berries lost all their colour, the sauce, the ketchup, is looking pretty good. It smells quite fruity. It's almost like a little bit like apple crumble, but I know this is not going to be sweet at all until I add this sugar in. So I've weighed out 250 grams here. I'm only going to put maybe 2/3 of that in. Just remember that ketchup does have to have lots of sugar in it. It balances the acidity, and it also enhances all the flavours of the fruit and everything else. So I'm going to put that back on the heat for maybe 10 minutes, wait until the sugar boils or dissolves, and then we'll have a little taste. If it needs a bit more sugar, I'll add a bit more sugar. Right, that's bubbling away and the sugar's melted, so I'm going to give that a little taste test. Here goes. Actually, I think you could do with a little bit more sugar. Okay, there we go. So I put 250 mils in. It is quite acidic. I wish I'd had some herbs, not herbs. I wish I'd put some spices in. I might put a little bit of black pepper in while it's doing that. I can't think of anything else I've got in the cupboard that I could add. But anyway, I'm just going to leave that. It's got kind of it does smell appley, I must say. I know when I first tasted those raw Hawthorn berries, that they did taste like overripe apple, and there is a smell of like an apple chutney coming off that sauce. So yeah, I think it's going to be all right. I mean, it's not tomato ketchup. It never will be. It's a fruity ketchup, which might go nice with pork meatballs, I guess. What else? I think pork's going to be the thing it's going to go with. Maybe a little bit on chicken. I'm not sure, but anyway, I'm going to let that bubble until it thickens a little bit more, and then I'll bottle it. I might add a little bit of seasoning to it as well. But at the moment, it's not terrible. It's passable as a ketchup. It's quite labour intensive picking all those berries and making sure we got most of the leaves out of the way. Does it cost less than actually buying a bottle of ketchup? No, because I've had to use energy to heat all the ingredients. I've had to buy the ingredients. Apart from that, it's just the thing is it's using stuff that's available on our doorsteps, and it's free. I love foraging for food and producing flavours. I mean, over here I've got a mushroom and wild hogweed soup. I managed to find some fresh hogweed in the woods, buried underneath all the other old hogweed, which was nice. So that's going to keep me fed all week. Once I puree it, that'll be really nice. So yeah, free food. Can't do wrong. Well, you can. It might end up tasting horrible, but I actually think this is going to be something I'm going to use. This sauce. Anyway, I'm going to season it, let it thicken, bottle it, and then I'm going to actually leave it for a couple of weeks before I use it. I think the longer you leave it in the cupboard, in the dark cupboard, it's probably going to taste better. Just like a good curry always tastes better the next day. Or in this case, in 2 weeks' time, I'll let you know what it's like. Okay, so we're back. I added a bit more sugar. I left it on the boil a little bit longer. It's reduced right down, and it's got this like syrupy, shiny texture to it. Draw my spoon through it like that. You can see it's a lot thicker than it was. Now, I've tasted this, and it's more closely, I would say, related to sweet and sour sauce than anything else. So, you know what, maybe chicken nuggets would go nice with this. It's very syrupy and jammy, and I think, yeah, it's still going to take 2 weeks in the cupboard to make it decent sauce, but oh well. Okay, that's very sweet and syrupy. It is more closely related to sweet and sour sauce, but when it's cold, it'll be a decent ketchup. I'd be happy to have that on cooked meats, maybe even on fish. I don't know, we'll see.